Dude, so on the way over here, I was getting out of my car and I was cleaning up the chips after the whole chip ordeal. And I was cleaning out my car and some dude walks past me and starts singing at me as if he was giving me the gift of this song.
He was blessing you.
And I never know what to do when people do that.
You have to sing back.
Have you ever been sung at?
Yeah, it gets awkward at first.
It gets awkward, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if you're supposed to smile or laugh or just sit there and take it. Like, what do you do when someone's just singing at you?
I've had these situations often. Not often, but I've had them before many times. And it's like there's this barrier of extreme awkwardness, especially when it's someone you know that you're, like, friends with, and they just start singing to you, and then I just sing back. I just sing whatever I feel like singing back.
But then is it like mocking what they're doing? I don't know. It's weird, dude. I don't get it.
I don't know.
Anyways, this is another podcast with Evan, and we decided to mix it up today, and we're on the beach. So if you can hear the beach in the background, that's why we're in Carlsbad.
It's pretty sick.
There's a few things I wanted to talk to you about today. To start off, you basically just quit your job and moved to Panama.
Well, technically, like, I quit, but it's 1099, so I kind of just left and then came back. It's not like a 9 to 5 where I am stuck in hours a day working where I don't like it. It's like I turned it off for a little bit, traveled, and then came back.
So what inspired that move?
I think a lot of things. I was in a super unhappy relationship where I was dating this girl that was just it was just not good. It was just super manipulative, and I just wasn't happy in the relationship. And I feel like when I get in spaces like that, I just explode inside and do chaotic shit just to break my habits. Because in the end of the day, the only reason I went was because I just wanted to switch up my habits and find a new perspective of life and see a new way that people live their life. So yeah, that was the main inspiration. I also read a lot of books on traveling and stuff, and it's a very powerful way to change your life, and it helped me a lot for sure in many ways.
When you met the people in Panama, what was your first impression of them? Because I have different thoughts kind of on this topic. If you think about what a human is, we're all kind of biologically the same, right?
Yeah.
And at our core, I think all humans are very much the same. But when you travel, you realize that that's not necessarily true. People are very different.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested in is what are the similarities that you noticed in the people in Panama? What qualities did you relate with? And then what was different about them and their culture?
Well, I think it's such an amazing it's a good question because it's such a completely different way of life in Panama. So I went to this small little place called Bocas del Toro. It's this literally tiny island on the Caribbean side of Panama, and I lived there for 3 months just on this small little island. And the way of life there is so simple, and it's completely different from living in California and San Diego, because here it's there's traffic everywhere. You get on the freeway and it's just concrete everywhere, and it's everyone's just racing towards nothing. Literally, if you think about it, people wake up and most people go to their jobs. Most people don't even like their jobs, and they just go because they don't even know, they don't even know why they're going. And there's just hundreds and hundreds of endless cars on the freeway constantly driving. And you go to Panama and there's nothing happening, and it's just simple, and there's just good people, and there's beautiful views and beautiful animals and jungle, and super grateful, happy human beings to interact with. And here it's just a completely different way of life. I think it's just way more complicated here, and over there it's just so simple. You know what I mean? It's just simple. There's just no distractions. If that's the easiest way to put it. There's nothing distracting you. It's just simple life.
Do you think that there are trade-offs to the simplicity? What are the downsides of Panama I mean, obviously, maybe I think if it was really like this just beautiful, simple, everything was amazing place, then the whole world would want to move there. But what are the reasons?
Well, I think it's a matter of perspective 100%.
Yeah.
Because for me, the downsides of moving there are actually upsides. Because there, for example, like if you want to order something on Amazon, it takes like 2 months. And I think that simplifies life because you don't really need shit to, you don't need to be like buying shit all the time. And then on top of that, it's just like, I think the fact that there's no distractions, like a lot of people would see a downside is like you don't have a car. I mean, you can take a car to the island, but you don't, like I had a bike.
Yeah,
like,
that's what you're saying. You rode a bike everywhere.
You don't need a car. Like I didn't have a car. So you just walk and bike everywhere, which is like, if you live in New York or something, that's like normal or whatever. But for me, I've always driven a car everywhere. But living there, it was like, I guess if someone would think a downside is you don't have a car. But in reality, I think it's an upside because, you're riding through the jungle every day to go to do what you want to do. Like, if I'm going to train jujitsu, I'm riding through the jungle and seeing people that I know in the community and waving and, enjoying the culture instead of driving in a car on a freeway for 45 minutes. So it's just a completely different perspective.
What was it like training jujitsu in Panama?
It was sick. It was so sick. The people in it's called Boca's Fight Gym. They super happy, super welcoming, super nice people. It was completely different than here. Like the gym is like a lot older and like materialistically like not in the best place, but the people and the energy and the culture is just like amazing. Like the discipline and the way that Alex, the brown belt that runs the gym there, he just trains like so well, and he trains all the people there so well, and everyone's so tight and connected. It's just like it's a great place to go and train.
Yeah,
for sure.
You like recently decided that you're gonna take jiu-jitsu a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like I don't know how to explain it. It's just something that I love doing that has so many benefits that I think a lot of people don't realize how many benefits there actually are to like having a sport. It's like the way I like to explain jiu-jitsu and like certain other things too is like it's like killing like 40 birds with one stone.
Explain that.
Like, how people are like, oh, you kill 2 birds with 1 stone?
Yeah.
It's like killing like 40 or like 60 birds with 1 stone. Because think about it, by just the act of showing up and just doing jiu-jitsu consistently over the years, you have the potential to make money in a career. You're building community. You're building mental health. You're building physical health. You're building all these different things. It gives you the opportunity to travel. It gives you the opportunity to compete and stay sharp. And when you're sharp, you can be sharp in other areas of life. So it's like, and it just trains your mind to think with all these different principles that are so effective to use in other areas of life, like just dynamic problem solving and all these different things that you can apply to like anything. So it's like just doing jiu-jitsu, like it solves like so many other problems. And that's why I think it's so powerful. And that's why I've like made a lot of space in my life to continue to do it as much as possible.
Yeah, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What got you into it initially? I mean, I remember just one day you were telling me you were going, but was there something that inspired you to start going?
Yeah, it was a knee injury.
Oh, a knee injury. Oh, yeah, from the running.
Yeah, from the ultra marathons.
Oh, yeah, so last podcast, I think we were talking about the ultras, and now we both have knee injuries from the ultras.
We legit both
So
have
Evan got into jiu-jitsu, and I started riding bikes.
That was about like a year and a half ago.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. We finished the last ultra marathon, and then the 100K, or I did the 100K, you did the 50K, and we both had knee injuries after, so we picked up different sports.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's what got me into it. I also I was always inspired by like, I also wrestled in high school, but I hated wrestling when I was in high school. I didn't like it at all because I feel like I was forced, but I feel like I always thought martial arts was like so cool.
Why did you feel like you were forced?
I feel like everything in high school was forced.
What do you mean?
It was just everyone's like, it was like expectations of other people. Ooh, look, that guy caught a fish.
Oh yeah, you did.
Kind of, that's a big fish.
It was a huge fish.
It was just like the rigid schedules in high school, and like most of high school I feel like was just bullshit.
Yeah.
Other than weights class.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion. And like the community, I guess, the friendships. But
Well, see, that's what's interesting about the 9-to-5 life is it almost feels like it's just a continuation of that rigid schedule.
just like high school. Yeah,
and
it's
that's
the same
kind of
shit.
what you're born into, right? You're born, and I mean, some of my earliest memories are grade school, just being told what to do, doing someone else's schedule.
Yeah.
And it seems like the natural continuation of that is to get the 9-to-5 job, keep being told what to do, where
They're
to be,
building
how to
you
think.
to be a 9-to-5er. Like literally, that's what high school and college I think do, is because if you think about it, like it's training your mind and building core habits to just learn how to be told what to do instead of going out and figuring out what you want and then getting after it, you know?
Well, so, I mean, I think you broke away from that pretty early, right? Like after high school,
Yeah.
you kind of just started doing your own thing.
Yeah.
And you started a business, and you were making enough money to live on your own, which I thought was super sick.
Yeah.
And I was in school learning how to start a business,
Yeah.
and meanwhile, you were actually out there starting a business, which is ironic, I think. And then now you're doing jujitsu, and you do door-to-door sales, and
Yeah.
you go to Panama when you want. I mean,
Yeah.
you're pretty detached.
Yeah, I don't like society very much. I'm one of the types of people that once I save up enough money, I think I'm gonna just like live off the grid and learn how to invest.
Yeah.
That's literally what I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like, but yeah, it's pretty accurate. I feel like when I was like after high school, I was just so like stuck up with being told what to do because that's all that they do.
Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to form you into their mental box of their expectations of what they want you to be or how they see you. And it's like suffocating. And so I had like a lot of like businesses that like they didn't really make shit, honestly. They all fucking sucked. But like
Well,
they
most
made
first
made
suck.
decent money, and like I learned, but it was never anything substantial until I got into solar. Selling solar was like my first real money. And then that's where I learned a lot, started to learn more.
So, I mean, what advice would you give to someone who is kind of stuck in that societal loop of, you know, just being told what to do, doing what they think other people want them to do, not what they actually want to do? Like, I mean, number one is how do you break away? And two is how do you find what you want to do?
That's a fucking hard question to answer. But because it's different for everyone. It's like you just have to do random stuff that breaks up your habits. Like you just have to, like, if you feel trapped, like just start changing random stuff. Like if you don't like your work, change and figure it out as you go. Because like in the end of the day, everyone's just figuring it out as they go. Even if they think they're not. That's what everyone's doing. I mean,
so I like to call that like jump in the deep end and then figure out how to swim approach.
that's all it is. Like
yeah.
That's what you do. That's
Well, I think
that's
there's
literally
also
what life is. Like you just figure it out as you go. Like people think like you have to read a book to learn how to do something, which reading is good. I love reading, but I think that to learn something real, you have to just go scrap and just do it, and that's like the most pure form of learning.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like I know some people though, like they wanted to learn. I'm not going to name names, but Google Ads, right? And I've done Google Ads in the past, and I mean the way you learn it is you just start running an ad, you figure it out as you're doing it.
You lose money and you
as
figure it out.
you lose some money as
Yeah.
you're doing it. You watch tutorials, you read up on it, kind of as a supplement to your hands-on learning.
Yeah.
But this person, they'll try to read a book on Google Ads before they even experiment with it, and they try to like learn the whole thing before they actually take that first step. And I just think that's kind of a backwards approach.
Yeah.
And
dude, think about it. That's what all of high school and grade school and college
I mean,
is.
it's how it's
That's all it
how
is.
they kind of train you to learn.
But think about the whole big picture of it all. It's literally like all from like the start of the school system. It's training that mindset of, oh, I need to figure it out before I start.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to read a bunch of books and then you're not going to know shit when you
that's
start.
why no one ever starts, because it's not possible to learn everything
you never get
before you
there.
start, right?
You're never
so
going to get
if
there.
you try to learn the entire thing that you're trying to learn before you do it, you'll never do it.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to go scrap and figure it out. I feel like that's the most important thing. Like you can't there's no black belt that never trained jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
They didn't know. There's
you
no
can't
black belt.
study your way through.
Study
you can't
your way to a
get
black
a black
belt.
belt by reading a book. Like
Yeah,
you actually have to get your
go
ass kicked as a white
work.
belt.
Yeah, you have to train
For a few
It's not
years.
even possible. It doesn't exist. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I'm only a blue belt, but who knows?
I mean, I feel like that was kind of your approach with everything. I mean, that's you basically went to Panama and you figured it out. Like I've always kind of thought, like I don't know how to travel the world, and I think no one does, right? And here you just
There's no
go
right
travel
or
the
wrong
world.
way.
Like you don't try to figure it out first. You just do it and figure it out as you go. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's important because then you get stuck in like this like analysis of like, you ever heard that term like paralysis analysis, whatever they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it is. People
So-
get stuck.
How do you break habits? I mean, this is a big question too. I'm throwing a lot of big questions at you, but you said the way to kind of break that pattern is to break your habits.
Yeah.
And how do you approach that? I mean, do you have to do like a full reset, or can you tweak it?
Well, I think for me, like I'll use an example. Like when I was like 17, for some reason my dad was always very like spiritual, so he talked a lot about like meditation and like different things like that. So when I was 17, I got kind of like obsessed with trying to figure out how to build the habit of meditation. And I'm 23, almost 24 now, and it only became a daily habit like a year ago. So like I started at 17, and only like a year and a half ago, now it's a daily habit. I've only missed 6 days in the last like year and a half of meditation, because it's just ingrained into me now because I started when I was 17. So it's like, it's such a freaking challenging thing to change a habit. Like it takes so much effort and time, but I think the easiest way to do it is to change your environment. Like that's like that was my biggest motivators to go to Panama, was I was just living in the jungle like by myself, and it was easy to have like a simple, clear schedule of what I want to do and just go do it without all the distractions of daily life and family and all that type of stuff. So yeah,
I think environment's everything for me too.
Environment's so important, because think about it, if you're surrounded by like negative people and stuff, like it's just not possible. Like you're not going to change. Like you're just going to be stuck in the same loop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, like I bought the condo in February, and I was living there, and then Apple said that we had to be back in September. So
yeah,
in August, I rented out the condo and moved back in with my parents for a month, or at least what I thought was going to be a month, because I was going to move to the Bay Area in September.
Yeah.
And then, so I moved into my house temporarily, and then Apple postponed to October, and then they postponed to December, and then February, and then they postponed now even to some unknown date.
Yeah.
And now I've been at home for like half a year, and
Wow.
I feel my habits getting worse. I feel my mentality is not as clear. Like
Yeah.
I kind of feel myself being pulled back into the child that I once was, living in that same bedroom,
Yeah.
when I was 16.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I get in stupid arguments that I would have back then,
Yeah.
and I get assigned
Exactly.
chores, and it's really destructive, I think, to being like a productive,
Human.
independent human.
Yeah.
It's not
true.
good. And
It's not good at all.
I know I keep talking about it, but I think what you just said is totally true, changing
Yeah.
the environment. So I will be moving out soon, but it kind of creeps up on you. Like you don't even realize that your habits are getting worse until it like hits you, and you kind of look down at yourself and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
what am
Dude,
I
like
doing?
a good example, bro. Like when I was in Panama, I didn't watch a single television show or movie
Wow.
besides studying jiu-jitsu for like 87 days or
Wow.
89 days or something like that, and I tracked it every day because I just feel like TV and movies is just a complete waste of time. And last night, like, I watched an entire series in an afternoon.
Yeah, but that's Squid Game.
Yeah, but still,
that's good. That's
my
a good
brain
show.
felt melted afterwards,
Yeah.
and I'm like, see, that's what I'm saying. I just love being like detached from everyone and everything,
Yeah.
and being able to come into society like when I want. I feel like that, like, just independence is so important.
Well, it's really weird because when something becomes a habit, you don't even, well, you're not oftentimes aware of taking that action. I'll explain that. For example, pretty much every time I get in bed, before I go to bed, I open up my phone, I go on YouTube, and I watch 20 minutes of YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, it's such a routine of mine
Yeah.
now that I often don't even realize that I'm watching YouTube until I'm already watching it.
Yeah.
So I have a habit of laying down, opening up my phone, clicking YouTube, searching for
like
a video.
on purpose.
Well, it's just so ingrained
Like
into
a
me. Like
good
I'm
video?
not consciously
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I want to go on YouTube. My body just does it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm watching YouTube and I snap out of it. I'm like, what am I doing?
yeah.
Wasting so much time on YouTube and just Instagram. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. I know. If you saw my laptop, dude, I have YouTube. Have I showed you how I have YouTube set up on my laptop?
The blocker, right?
Yeah. It blocks all the feeds.
Yeah.
And it has no ads.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just like if I'm on YouTube, like, there's nowhere to click except like the search bar to like search something if I think that I want to go find and learn something.
Yeah, I mean, and
You know what I mean?
YouTube as a tool is great, but YouTube as a social media or as a source, is like a TV supplement, can be very bad because it's so easy to just watch another 5-minute video, right? You're done, you're about to turn it off, and then a 5-minute video pops up, and you're like, oh, I got 5 more minutes, right? And then you
Yeah.
keep getting into that cycle of just, oh, all right, I got a few more minutes.
Yeah. And then it's just a mess, and you waste like fucking 8 hours.
And then it totally pulls you away from like what you should be doing. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, I feel like it's just, for me personally, it's like a electronic like reproduction of life.
yeah,
And it's not, there's no like touch or smell or taste or feeling. It's just like, it's like this brainwashing screen that just
Well,
like
it's a drug,
pulls you
dude. I mean,
in. It's like this just like mess. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like programming your brain to whatever it produces. That's
so
what I do.
what were your thoughts on Squid Game?
Dude, that show was crazy. I watched the entire thing yesterday after work.
Speaking of, yeah. Well, what you said was pretty interesting in the cafe, that it like really represented the full spectrum of human.
Dude, everything, bro.
Yeah.
Like, every corner of human psychology was displayed in that show, I think. I mean, from what I've learned. Because it shows, like, how people come together as community. It shows how people betray each other. It shows people, like, loving each other, and then people, like, mistrusting each other. People, like, teaming up and creating, like, cliques and, like, gangs and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then thinking that they're better than the other person, and, like, just all this different psychology was so interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you think about it?
No, I thought the same thing. I thought it was freaking mind blowing. I've never seen a show like it.
Yeah.
And I almost like felt bad for the characters once they got there. Like I said, they get, I mean, this is a spoiler alert, but if you, when they all get to the room and they're all sleeping and they go through that first event, my thought process was like, dang, like what if they want to go home, right? But
Yeah.
then they got sent back home and they all decided to come back.
You're burning
and
your
then,
brother's.
and then I was like, well, shoot. Now I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy show, dude.
Yeah, that was gnarly, dude. Holy shit.
Would you do it?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
No. Not
No.
at all. Because it's just for money. Like, you're saying, basically, I feel like if I participated in that game, it would be like me saying a bunch of money is more valuable than, like, my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is not true.
Well,
at all.
yeah. Dude, I heard
To
something
me.
recently. It was like, would you trade lives with someone who had cancer but $10 million?
Fuck no. No.
Right?
Hell no.
So
I
$10
wouldn't trade
million.
lives with anyone.
Well, actually,
Ever.
I think what it was is like if you had 1 day to live, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have cancer, but you get $10 million, right? Would you take it?
No.
Right.
What are you gonna do with the money?
So that means that your answer just told me that 1 day is worth more than $10 million,
Wait, you lost me.
right?
I'm just saying my time is worth more than
I'm
$10
saying-
million. Like the time I have left on Earth to like go explore and find new things is worth way more than any fucking dollar.
No, but what I'm
or
saying is,
material item.
what I'm
Like,
saying is that let's say I give you $10 million,
Yeah.
but the catch is that you would die in 24 hours. Would you do it?
You give me $10 million to die in 24 hours?
The point is
No.
that the obvious answer is no,
Yeah. No.
Right,
Hell
no.
No.
which means that 1 day of your life is worth more than $10 million,
Yeah.
right?
100%. Because like think about it, dude. Like there's this. Do you listen to Alan Watts at all?
Sounds familiar. What is it?
Alan Watts. He's like a philosopher from like the 70s.
Okay.
And something he says is like, it's so interesting if you listen to the way that he thinks and the way that he talks. He uses this example as like, people think pleasure comes from like material items, right? They think it comes from like nice dinners and like cars and like a yacht or something like that, right?
Yeah.
People really truly believe this in America. But what he says is he uses the example of like, I don't know how to he explains it so well. I don't know how to explain it, but in the end what he basically says is like, real human pleasure comes from developing the self and like learning new skills and developing and honing in on a skill set, not like buying a yacht. It's like owning a sailboat versus a yacht. You know what I mean? People work and they have all this money to go drive a yacht, but all you do on the yacht is sit around and you don't do anything. You could like party on it or whatever, and then the sailboat's like a skill that takes like years to develop in order to just drive the damn boat.
Yeah.
But that's like, the sailboat is pleasure. The yacht is like, to me, the yacht is like miserable.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a sailboat.
Well, I think real pleasure comes from like being proud of yourself for doing something that was hard.
Exactly.
Right? Like
exactly, yeah.
the pleasure for running the ultra marathon came after the ultra marathon was done.
Exactly, yeah.
But I have this sense of pride in myself that I stuck with it and ran every day for 3-4 months training, then did the race, finished the race. Like, to me, that is something that it's like I overcame a mental blockage that kind of similar to what you're talking about with jujitsu has impact in other areas of life, right? Because now I know that something that sounds extremely difficult, almost impossible, that I can then do and overcome. I mean, you see that pattern in everyday life, right? Like learning shit for work, learning how to code for me.
You can do anything.
You could do anything.
Like if you can run a fucking ultra marathon, like you shouldn't have limiting beliefs about shit.
Yeah.
You can go do anything. Like it's so hard. It builds this sense of confidence that like if you make the space and the time to do something, like you can do it.
And I think the opposite of pleasure or happiness or whatever, I mean, opposite of happiness is a very big topic, but is kind of always taking the short-term win, right? Like if there's a cookie on the table, the short-term win or the short-term pleasure is eating that cookie.
Yeah.
The long-term win is saying no, right?
Yeah.
In the moment, it's harder to say no. Of course you want the fucking cookie.
Yeah.
But in the long run, you'll be more proud of yourself if you take the long-term win over the short-term win. I mean, you see that in life a lot too, right?
Yeah.
So I think people who constantly take the short-term win, they constantly choose pleasure over discipline in the moment, typically are more unhappy from what I've seen.
100%. I think so, personally, yeah. Because they think pleasure and happiness comes from, like, feeling good right now.
Yeah.
And for me, happiness and pleasure comes from, like, eating shit and, like, suffering all day and then feeling good at the end of the day because I just did that.
And by eating shit, you mean healthy?
No, I mean eating shit like suffering and, like, working hard. Like, eating shit like failing. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, eating shit like on a skateboard.
Yeah, no, like fucking things up. Like that was
it.
probably the wrong term. But
I thought you meant eating like healthy food that tastes like shit.
No, I mean like like fucking things up and like embarrassing yourself and like working hard and like doing whatever, and then at the end of the day you feel so good. Like that feeling is the pleasure.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, where you're like, oh fuck, I just did that.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
I
you know?
agree.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think. It's very, very true.
What? So, I'm also pretty fascinated by just the fact that you do door-to-door sales.
It's funny because I'm not even that. I can close deals, but I'm not like a top performer in the office.
Yeah.
But I think recently it's become really fun for me.
Well, and again, I mean, coming back to the same theme, I feel like door-to-door sales is one of those things that has kind of exponential positive impact in your life, right? Like if you can go and talk to a stranger and sell them solar, you could probably go talk to that girl over there. You could probably, have more mature conversations with friends. You could probably just get through life better.
Exactly, yeah. And that's one thing is like when I started it, like I like struggled to find where, like what place it has in my life, because it's like it's not like my full-time career. Like I don't want it to be. But and then like I used to think like, oh, it's pointless to like waste time trying to like just to make money, like doing something I don't like to make money, because I didn't like it for a long time. Like I hated it. It was kind of miserable, but that's just because I sucked at it. And now that I'm starting to realize, hey, I can actually kind of like close deals, I will. What up, bro?
What's up, man?
Fan of who? Thanks, bro.
That guy follows me on YouTube. He must be one of my 68 subscribers.
I know, right? Oh, but yeah, dude, it's like once I learned how to like communicate and do it, it's like it's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding. Like you feel good at the end of the day if you did all the work that you said you're gonna do.
Wait, what are we talking about again? I totally got
Sales.
distracted. Oh, sales, yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that too. Well, you said that.
And it's also really hard to do it if you don't have a good team. Like I didn't have a good team for like 2 months because I was working for like this online company, but I was still selling in person, and it was like basically impossible to work. Like it was just hard to go do the job. And so I struggled for a bit, but I just switched to like this giant sales team, and they're like, it's really motivating to go out and clap deals. It's fun.
You talked about this ebb and flow of liking and then disliking your job and liking it and disliking it again.
Yeah.
What do you think causes those cycles? Because I feel that too with my job. Like,
yeah.
I love my job on like Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
It's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
Monday mornings.
I think for me,
hate that shit.
Yeah. For me, I think it was just like focusing on like what I can't control, because focusing on what I can control, because there's like so much anxiety in sales if you set like too high expectations for yourself. Like if you say, hey, I have to go like do 1 presentation today or 2 presentations today.
Yeah.
Like that's completely out of my control. But if I say, hey, I'm going to go knock like 15 or 20 doors today, like I can go get that done and then go home. And if I get a deal, great. If not, then I don't care.
Yeah.
But I still got the work done.
So what are the things in your job that you can control, and what are the things that you can't control?
Just knocking doors and hours worked.
Just being consistent with it?
Just knocking doors, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then can't control is like if I close a deal or not. You
Yeah.
can't control that. It's just like if you find someone that's interested, then great. If not, then you don't have any money that week.
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
Yeah. Which I think is cool, but I don't know. It's fun right now. Right now I'm starting to learn more about it and just develop it over time and get better at it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was the quote you said? Oh, yeah. So this is the first podcast we've done in public, and we were talking about maybe doing it in a cafe, and Evan was a little bit worried about what people would think of us.
No, I was.
And then you had a funny
it's
quote.
just burnt to do a podcast in the middle of a cafe, I feel like, because I don't know.
Well, not in the middle of a cafe. I was thinking like outside,
I mean, we could have done it. It's no different than here.
But
like,
the
just
point,
keep going.
the point is, you said everyone's just a fucking worm.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? What was the exact quote you said?
I was just saying, like, we're all just on a rock. Like, if you think about humans' existence, like, we're all just like these worms on a rock.
And this was presented
Like,
in
think
the
about
context
it, bro.
of explaining why you shouldn't care what people think of you.
Yeah, because
Right?
think
Why-
about
why should you not care?
Because think about, like, if you look at how tiny we are as humans, like, we're literally this fucking speck, like the size of this grain of sand, like, in the middle of this thing called, like, space.
Yeah.
And we're just a bunch of, like, little worms running around this rock, like, fighting each other and, like, trying to kill each other and, like, trying to be better and, like, compete with one another. Like, we're just a bunch of stupid worms, if you think about it. Like, the humanity, like, we're just a bunch of, like, insects. In the perspective of, like, looking at Earth from, like, light years away, we're just like some insects.
Yeah, you sent me that
on a
video
rock.
the other day. That was really good. It was like,
Yeah.
basically, if you're having a bad day, if you're stressed, watch this
Realize
video.
that your
and
life is meaningless.
and it just showed this very zoomed out
and no one cares.
picture of the Earth, kind of like what the frick is that astronomer's name?
What?
Have you ever seen the pale blue dot photo?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's basically one of those where we're literally just a floating rock on a beam of light floating in the universe.
Yeah.
And if you think that your problems are a big deal, look at this photo and you'll realize that nothing really matters.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, it's not.
But then some things matter, right? Like, if nothing matters, why do we
But it's
then
not
work
like-
out?
it's
Why
not
do
like-
we
it's not
read and try to get better?
Yeah, I feel like it's not nothing matters. Like, oh, I feel sorry for myself. Like, nothing matters. I'm not important. It's like nothing matters, so you may as well make the best of it and see what you can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing matters. Like, the worst that could happen is not that bad. Ever.
Yeah.
And it's hard to practice it. Like, obviously everyone struggles with it. Like, everyone feels fear. But
Well, the best advice that I
it's
ever
just a
got,
thought.
one of the best pieces of advice is, so I was in a fraternity in college, and I was the treasurer. And as the
Frat boy
treasurer, I felt somewhat responsible and felt like I kind of had to be, a little bit more, I guess, wary of, I couldn't just go party every night. Like, I had to kind of keep things straight. And I don't know, I just remember I had a buddy who was the exact opposite, right? Like, would show up to parties with short shorts and a freaking his outfit didn't even make sense, right? And he told me, he's like, dude, like, he's like, this isn't serious. Like, you just gotta, like, nothing matters, bro. Like, just have fun. And I don't know where I was going with that, but basically the point is kind of what you said, where, like, don't take things too serious.
Yeah.
You can use, I guess, that philosophy to your advantage when needed, but I don't know if it's what you want to live by in every moment, right? Like, if every moment of life you go through life thinking nothing matters, well, you're probably not going to get anything done. But when there's hardship and when you're stressing out and when things aren't going your way, it's nice to remind yourself that we're just worms on a dot in the universe.
Yeah. Literally, that's what we are.
Yeah.
If you think about it. But yeah, that was kind of the thinking behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. Well, that's all I had to talk about today.
Should we scrap on the beach or what?
I'm down to do some jujitsu.
All right, we should scrap.
That sounds better than this. All right. Thanks for coming on the podcast. We got to do another one.
My pleasure.
Maybe
bro.
next time in the wine cellar or something.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
All
Maybe
right.
we get some random person on the podcast. Who knows?
That'd be cool to talk to some new people.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
Peace.
good. Later.